forget the exact stat, but I know over the next year there's hundreds of billions of dollars of notes coming due, right? And there's plenty of people over the past few years that bought on these 3% rates, 3.5% rates, maybe overpaid for a property, and their notes coming due. I personally haven't seen like a ton of distressed sellers yet, right? Where it's like selling at these huge discounts, but on the back end, you guys seeing stuff that we don't see. What's your thoughts on over the next year? Is there going to be people that are distressed, they got to sell a lot of pain, or like what do you see there?
Let's go in this order. All right, so there's a lot of different theories as to what's going to happen with these, long amortization balloons that are coming due at low interest rates. So, couple things. The first is that the bank during the renewal process or credit union or whatever is going to say, okay, your rate was 3.5% and you underwrote at a 120 debt service coverage ratio. Cool. And now rates are 7.5, 8.5, whatever the number is with that institution. You have 25 years left. You haven't raised rents. You haven't cut expenses. Or maybe you have. But I mean, you look at like, $2, $3, $4 million loan, 4 or 5% difference in interest rate, your debt service skyrockets. So what does the bank do? Option one is they turn a blind eye. Unlikely. Option two, they say, cash, pay down the loan. And the customer is like, no, or I don't have it, or I can't. Option three is it goes to a division called Special Assets Group. And this is where the term special is not good. Like, not at all. So, yeah, it's not very special. And that's like the beginning of the end. It's very hard to get out of there. And the other option is you say, well, like let's say you have 15 years left on the loan or 20 years left. You're like, well, just stretch out my amortization. Stretch it out. Go 25 or 30. The numbers work, right? Seems common and not lose the loan. Well, that term is called a TDR, or it stands for a troubled debt restructure, meaning the bank then has to say, this is the only way that we can make the deal work. They have to report those to the regulators. Every bank has a different system for this, and maybe they have a certain buffer that they can do that. They can do so many of them, but that's a problem. So then you're left with, oh my God, I have to leave. So I think the answer is we're not seeing that yet. I predict we're going to start seeing it probably at the end of Q1 after these annual reviews come out, people file their taxes. And I think that there's going to be a lot of movement between lenders with customers coming due for renewal.
They've changed the term. TDR is now TDL under the CECL principles of accounting, which are stupid. So what do you do? I mean, a lot of the debt is out in the private market, and Rickey and Matt can speak to that more. But in regards to in the banking space, what's coming due, it's not as dramatic as they make it out. It's not as dire is probably the right term. But we're all going to face it because it's a big number. I mean, the math is what it is. So, does your bank do an EP? That's called extend and pretend. There is no problem. That happened a lot in 2009. And the regulators are looking for those, where they just like, Rickey, I'll take care of you. We're just going to extend it for 2 years. Now, there are reasons to extend it. And I think that's going to help solve some of that. Take a multifamily project. The secondary market did die. The private bond market, the secondary market is coming back, and a lot of you own properties that was your plan. Build it, go 3 years, build up the history, and then sell it to an insurance company or through the secondary market. And we have a lot of customers that's how we're going to extend it. The one thing, when you do that, if you have a deposit relationship and you're their main, if your deposit account is with that bank, they will give you preferential treatment. I have talked to numerous CEOs in the community bank space, and they're actually rewriting these deals ahead of time because they don't want a 3.5% on their loan right now, but they may give you 7% right now, but that rate could be 8% in June.
Yeah, I think that stat is definitely true, but I think it also plays into this fear thing, because it's not the banks that have all the debt coming due in the next year or so. It's mostly CMBS markets. It's office loans, which it's gonna be a shit show. But it's not banks that are gonna lose their, sorry for all the swearing, their ass. It's gonna be these CMBSs. And the reason being is people that own office complexes or buildings are pretty smart in that they don't want to sign recourse on that, so they go the CMBS route, and it could be non-recourse. So they're just going to give the keys back. That's going to hurt the office market, but I think since COVID, people that are smart have been staying away from that. You're starting to see some of that, and I read an article about like Atlanta down there. They're starting to see feel some pain down there, but I don't think that the maturities will really hurt us on the banking side until I'd say second half of next year, I think. My advice for you guys, if you have your own portfolios, to start doing your own stress testing and say, what does my cash flow look like on a debt service coverage ratio if the rates are 8%? You know, am I going to be able to renew without making a large right sizing of my debt? And then if you're going to have some tight cash flow at that point, you get a couple options, I think. Start putting some money away now, start making some extra principal payments. Or one of my clients, one of the smartest guys I know, he owns, I don't know, I think it's like 15, 20,000 apartment units across the country right now. And he, over the last year, has been doing his own stress testing. And what he's doing is a lot of blending and extending right now. So he's at the 3.5, let's say, and the rate right now, let's say it's 7. He's like, let's just kick it out 3 more years, and I'll pay more now. I'll pay 5%, and he doesn't have to worry about this problem for a few more years, and he has more time to pay his debt down. And he knows at 5%, the deals still work, and his cash flow is good, but at 7, it wouldn't. So that's another strategy you could take if you have your own portfolio now and you're looking to make sure you don't have these difficult conversations in the future. And then the deposit thing right now, if you're out there looking for a loan, usually the first question they ask you, are you a current customer? Do you have deposits with us? If no, okay, how much are you going to give us on deposits? I don't know if you're seeing that too, but that's the number one thing right now is asking for deposits. If things, this is down the road, and you know, Ed, close your ears, but if you have your money at the bank, that helps now, but if you're going down the wrong path and there's going to be a problem, I would also suggest, having been on the special assets group, you need to take your money out of where your bad loan is. Because the first thing they're going to do is grab that and pay your loan down.